Alabama, Florida State. Years Georgia opened with Clemson, and then Oregon and LSU and Les Miles opened with Oregon and smacked them around. Alabama knocked around USC and Wisconsin and Va-Tech for years. The SEC fears nobody.
Stop it. I love the SEC. Put them on. By the way, if you just had an only SEC college football playoff show, it would be absolutely wonderful. How about that out there, SEC backers?
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
So the Mets, they went through a rough stretch where they were terrible, but, you know, they win the series versus the Mariners. They're kind of turning things around just a little bit. Like, the offense has been there. You said they were in a playoff race. You know, it's tough to say, like, oh, they need to win. It's like trying to trust teams in different sports at the end of the season. But the hitters are hitting right now. Lean into the Mets, lean into the Phillies. These teams have something to play for, and they're cooking right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
I think what you saw last year is it's tough to say, oh, it's projectable, but I do think it's something that when you're taking shots here, you're looking for a bye-week coverage wide receiver on your roster or a guy that has upside who's young enough to grow into more of a role. I think the development of Bo Nix was stunningly good last year. If we can build on that again this year, I think Marvin Mims is a really good selection as the 57th wide receiver off the board.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
What does he do after he hits the home run? He walks over to the fan and he pats him on the back and gives him a high five. This is the same fan that's been going after him for the entire game. Dave Roberts after the game saying, hey, look, every once in a while, it's kind of funny to see Shohei, who's got this wonderful personality that we almost never see. It was great to see him do that with the fans.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Yes, it's time to rise and grind. It's a Hump Day Wednesday on the Sports Grid Network. And why are we excited? One more sleep till the NFL kicks off with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri, and you know the drill. Over the next 2 hours, we got you covered on all the hottest topics across the sports landscape, whether it's Major League Baseball, college football, the NFL, or any hot topic that pops up here on social media that we need to get to you, the public. Joe, I'm fired up for a show. Wednesday, Hump Day. Get it together, people. What a weekend of football that's on the horizon.
I'm ready, Donnie. After a clean sweep of the board yesterday on the show, I am excited to get back at it here today. So, and I can smell the football, Donnie. It's just around the corner.
It's pretty fun yesterday, too, because I know, Joe, you had gone to the San Francisco Giants yesterday. Got the party started in style with a 2-run home run in the top of the first inning that caused a wild brawl and a delay, and still a easy victory for the San Francisco Giants. For myself, I went to Minnesota and said, give me some runs, and they gave me some runs. So 2-0 on best bet wagers on our buy. So make sure you stay tuned all throughout this telecast, because at the end of the show, we're going to give out 2 more picks today that are designed to cash in. But let's get going here. There's a lot of hot topics out there, and we start with the 7-7, which includes the New York Football Giants have made a decision on quarterback. Yeah, it's going to be Russell Wilson as a starter, but the backup thought it might be Jameis Winston, thought it might be Jackson Dart. It turns out it's the rookie Jackson Dart. That's the right move, Joe Ranieri. What do you say?
Well, I mean, we knew it, right? It wasn't as if he didn't play his way into that spot. It wasn't just handed to him. So, yeah, and I think it makes Jameis Winston a pretty good trade piece at some particular point, because we all know, Donnie, somebody is going to need a quarterback before the end of the month. I can pretty much assure you of that.
Injuries will happen, but Jackson Dart, the question now also comes into play, and we'll get into it, Joe. When does Jackson Dart become that full-time starter? Because the one thing we do know about the New York Giants, ESPN bet at least opened them up at a 3.5 team total. They now sit at 5.5 at most outlets, which is well short of a playoff team. Jackson Dart is the future, and we'll see if that future begins sooner than later. Back to the future, as we like to say, for the Buffalo Bills and Gabe Davis. Who says you can't come home? Gabe Davis returns back to the Buffalo Bills, a little bit needy at the wide receiver position. He fills a veteran void. We'll see if he can help out this year.
Yeah, I mean, he if I'm not mistaken here, we got he's been, well, there's Ford there, so he's going to be he's also on the list here. But as far as Gabe Davis goes, I think he spent the first 4 years of his career there in Buffalo. It's not like they don't know him. I can't believe he's only 26. That was what I was amazed at, Donnie. It feels like he's been in the league for a million years, doesn't it?
Yeah, signed to the practice squad there. He did have some success, had some big touchdowns earlier in his career with Josh Allen, and maybe they need some help because the one thing we know about Buffalo, it's a really good football team. Looks like to be an easy schedule, but they are lacking just a little bit outside of their MVP quarterback, and maybe that bolsters that wide receiver room by adding an extra veteran presence. We'll see if that works out. Jerome Ford, he's the number one running back there in Cleveland. They go with the number one quarterback in Joe Flacco. And I saw a power ratings list yesterday that had the 32nd team in the NFL. Those Cleveland Browns. Good luck, Jerome Ford, and your season with the Cleveland Browns.
I think we have a graphic for that, Donnie. And yes, I can tell you right now. Yeah, we do. Good. I can tell you now. Listen, at points over the last couple of seasons, right? He was kind of their backup there when they had nobody else, when Chubb was getting hurt. The guy was solid. So another guy that has earned the right to be RB1 here, and they need to run the ball. It can't be Flacco dropping back 45 times a game here.
No, it certainly can't be, and you're going to have that balance. It used to be, hey, man, Nick Chubb's that back of the future. He completely obliterated his knee, no longer in Cleveland, but maybe Ford can get some of that action as a sneaky option to get yards and also touchdowns on a week-to-week basis. Somebody's got to score, as we like to say, Joe Ranieri. You know who was scoring last night? There's a lot of runs there between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers actually lost that game, but Shohei Ohtani belts his 100th home run for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yes, he did. And there's plenty more, I'm believing, where that came from, too. 120 mile per hour bomb on the StatCast system there. So, listen, it's great, but you can't go to Pittsburgh and lose to Pittsburgh. Like, what are we doing, Donnie, if you're the Dodgers? Again, extremely infuriating watching this unfold. The bullpen once again for the Dodgers, Donnie. Yikes. Not good.
Yeah, come on, man. Step it up. Those Padres got the binoculars out that now turn into bifocals because they're getting really close to the Dodgers to try to surpass them. We'll see if it happens. You know who else continues to bring the bats right now? It's the New York Metropolitans, but that's not the question here or the story I want to talk about. It's Nolan McLean. The guy is dealing and actually retired his last 14 batters he saw last night in a 12-5 victory for the New York Mets. This wasn't against the Marlins or the Braves. This is against the Tigers, one of the best teams in baseball. Watch out for those Mets and their young starting pitchers.
Love this play yesterday. We talked about it. I said, listen, he reminds me of a lot of another Nolan that started his career with the Mets, and that was Nolan Ryan here. First, I mean, and he didn't have exactly great stuff yesterday, Donnie, but he doesn't need it when Alonso's hitting 2 bombs, Soto's going yard again. But again, plenty enough to get over his strikeout prop. He did have 3 walks, but you go 6 innings. I mean, he looked unhittable at times last night. 4-0 is pretty darn impressive. Why did they wait so long to bring these guys up? I have no idea, Donnie.
The reason is, Joe Ranieri, let me give you a little bit of tidbit about baseball that you already know. It's the only sport in the world that says, hey, this guy's really good. Hey, don't bring him up. We might have to pay him sooner than later. Imagine in the NBA, drafting first overall and getting Victor Wembanyama going like, stay in France for 4 years, so then we don't have to pay you for the 4 years, and then your clock doesn't start on when you can get your max contract. Only Major League Baseball, Joe Ranieri. That's the exact answer why. How about the U.S. Open? Novak Djokovic knocks out the last American, Taylor Fritz, left here and gets a little jeers and cheers from the crowd for doing so.
Yeah, I mean, way to go. Way to knock out every American at the U.S. Open of tennis. Way to go. But kudos to the old man. He's still got it here on the hard surface, too. It's going to be interesting to see if he can he get by, Sinner? Can he get by Alcaraz? We'll see here. It's been a while, I think, since he had a U.S. Open title.
In the women's draw, Vondrousova withdraws from the U.S. Open, sending Sabalenka into the semis here as we get closer and closer and closer to the finals. But, Joe, I got a question to ask you here. You were watching Major League Baseball last night. 2 fun things happened. Sure. One was the brawl. We'll get to that in a second. But the other one was Framber Valdez, who's a great pitcher. We all get frustrated in life doing things. Wasn't happy the way his catcher was responding and actually gave up a big-time blast into the seats. I think it might have been a grand slam. And then the next 2 pitches, one of those was a cross-up, which meant Hey, man, give me the curveball. Gotcha. I got you. 93 miles an hour, right off the chest protector. And Framber Valdez, instead of, oh, no, my bad. We got crossed up. Hit the catcher, turned around and walked back to the mound. Then tried to explain it, Joe, as, it was just a simple cross-up. No, it wasn't, man. Dude drilled his catcher because he was pissed at him.
Yeah, he was. Things again. We're in September, Donnie. How are you not on the same page with your catcher?
Oh, they were
in September.
They were.
Like, oh my word. Yeah, not going out. But once again, where were the bats for the Astros? I think Fried had a no-hitter through 5 innings. Like, what are you doing, Houston?
Embarrassing. And by the way, if you saw last night the brawl in Colorado, it's one of those things, Joe, that I love the 2-run home run because I had an alt-team total on the Giants, which easily hit. But I'm like, no, you're knocking Freeland out of the game. That's why Joe and I bet this game. Keep them in there. It still worked out in our favor, Joe, as you cashed that ticket. Beautiful.
Yep. Gotta love it. Giants. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. And the Giants at the quarterback position. Not in baseball, but in football. Let's go with those hot topics in the NFL next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Throw a dart, hit the bullseye. It's the early line. That's how we get down. It's hour number one. The energy is high. It's Donnie right side. It's Joe Ranieri. It's the SportsGrid Network setting the table for the rest of your SportsGrid day. Now, the New York Giants drafted a quarterback in Jackson Dart, hopefully thinking that, you know what? Sooner than later, he might be able to be our starting quarterback, but he was surrounded by veterans. Brought in Jameis Winston and also Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's going to be the starter day one for the New York Giants as they take the field against the Washington Commanders. Now, the question comes up is, was Jackson Dart ready to go for the preseason? Was he ready to go for a training camp? He looked pretty good in those games in training camp and also in preseason games. Enough to elevate him now, Joe, as the number 2 overall quarterback for the New York Giants. That looks good in my eyes because that means the kid's been ready, the kid's been performing, and has the backing of his teammates and also the coaching staff. You promised Russell Wilson to be the starting quarterback, and we're not saying that Jackson Dart should absolutely start on game number 1. I think it's the right decision to say, I don't think we're going to be that good this year. Let's just Russ take some of those bullets. By the time we're out of the playoff picture, and maybe close to being out of the playoff picture, we'll let Jackson Dart spin. So the question for me, Joe Ranieri, is not, does Jackson Dart deserve to be the number 2? When do we actually see Jackson Dart as QB1 for the Giants?
Well, and also you got to give the Giants credit here because from the get-go, even when they signed him, and don't forget, they brought in Jameis and they brought in Russ way before they drafted Jackson Dart, but they have been steadfast, Donnie, from day one, explaining that, listen, he's not going to be the starting quarterback. Like, they have actually, and I can't believe this, they've had a plan in place for how to develop him, and they have been very upfront about that, and they have stuck to that plan. Now, they did test him a lot in preseason. Dable threw him in a lot of different situations. I mean, it's not like they didn't test him. And again, he's not the starter. He's going to be the quarterback too. And quite honestly, I don't think you do that unless he's got the respect of that locker room and the players around him, because at some point, Russ is probably going to either get hurt or be so awful. Don't forget, Joe Schoen and Dable, that's a pretty hot seat right now with the Giants. So any signs of failure from Russ and Jackson Dart will be hopefully what saves Dable and Schoen and their jobs this season.
Yeah, the vets in the locker room, Joe, like they can sniff out a fraud right away. Like if a kid's coming in high and mighty, like let's just say a Johnny Manziel, like the guy's talented, but he puts in zero effort off the field and sabotages himself. You come in, you work hard, and you put up the results. Those players will follow quickly, specifically at a position like quarterback. We need to be the leader of the team. Certainly showing that in the locker room. We'll see when he gets in there as QB1 in this 2025 season. You know, he's going to be a starting wide receiver in Jacksonville. Hey, it's Travis Hunter. That's no surprise there. But the question to me always was, would he start on defense and play offense, or would he start on offense and play defense? And it looks like they're going to use him as a part-time cornerback, full-time wide receiver. Do we agree with that, Joe Ranieri? One of the best cornerbacks in the draft is a part-time cornerback and a full-time wide receiver.
Absolutely, I agree with it because he serves a much better purpose offensively and a weapon for the guy you spent over $200 million to that might be the biggest fraud and bust in all of the NFL in the draft here over the last, 2 decades. And that is saying a lot. But I like it because, listen, you can throw him out there in certain packages and things along those lines where he'll be fine. But, yeah, I think he does a much better job and is much more suited to help them as a weapon on the outside more than because who knows is he really a shutdown corner against other NFL wide receivers, or was he just really that good because he played Colorado State? So I think he's a better wide receiver now than he is a defensive back and more value in that spot.
Taking the hits instead of delivering the hits here. We'll see how it plays out, but certainly ultra-talented kid, great wide receiver, great cornerback. We'll see how this maturation process continues throughout the 2025 season, but he will begin with that workload on offense and probably chip in on passing situations and late-game situations where you have to throw that nickel or dime defense out there. He'll certainly be a great addition to that Jacksonville defense. You know who else is going to be a starting wide receiver as a young cat in the NFL? Matthew Golden. Starting wide receiver on the Packers' unofficial Week 1 depth chart here. The Packers look to have a better wide receiver core than last year. The Packers looking to have a better defensive stance this year than last year, and they had a pretty good defense as well. Things looking up for the Packers, including some explosive young wide receivers.
Yeah, and of course that made Romeo Doubs, right, expendable because, we have been talking about a pretty good group of young wide receivers now for Jordan Love in Green Bay for a couple of years. The problem was they couldn't stay healthy, right? And that was the issue. But now yet another one that has elevated himself to a number 1 spot there. And yeah, they got some weapons now. Forget about Parsons and the defense. They are stacked offensively and should be an interesting run here to see how they all fit together.
Now's the time the NFL starts to reward some of those players to use up that salary cap that you can flip over into the next season. The Bucs did it here with left tackle Luke Gadecki, reached an agreement on a 4-year extension worth $88 million. They lock up the big man on the right side here. Why? Because the left tackle, a little bit shaky to start the season, but not the right tackle down there in Tampa.
Yeah, what do we always say, right? There's a couple of positions that you need to spend the money on and you need to secure. And if you do, then chances are you're pretty good. You better protect your quarterback. You better have a quarterback to protect. And you better be able to get to the quarterback. And those three positions, lock them up, Donnie, and you're in pretty good shape in the NFL.
A couple other quick details here throughout the rest here. You got Gabe Davis back to the Buffalo Bills. We talked about that in 7-7. And Derek Harmon to miss week 1 versus the Jets here. The Steelers, down a man on that front line, but still a talented defense set up for week number 1. We're getting so close to this. By the way, that game there, I have a lot of interest to see how that Jets offense is going to go up against that Steelers defense, and more importantly, how Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to deliver a victory, possibly, and say, ha, Jets, now with a real organization, I can pick up victories here. I can't wait for this stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm more interested on the flip side there, as I'm more interested to see if Aaron Rodgers gets up after getting hit by this Jets defense, because make no mistake, it's not like Pittsburgh revamped that offensive line. It's been an issue for a couple of years, and the Jets, they'll be coming after good old Aaron Rodgers. Let's see how that works out.
How about he returns back to the Meadowlands after 3 plays, goes down with another Achilles injury? My goodness, would that write the storylines at this point? But we'll see if he can stay upright and healthy for the season, because as always, Steelers aren't about winning championships anymore, Joe. It's about being over 500. Maybe Aaron Rodgers can help them do that. Let's continue the madness. And how about college football's new top 25? Shout out the state of Florida. Come back and see why.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Matthew Golden, one of my favorite prospects coming out of Texas. He had an incredible game against Arizona last year in the college football playoffs. Just, big touchdown after big touchdown, big moment after big moment. I loved him all year, and I was a little, skeptical at first, like, okay, well, it's kind of a crowded wide receiver room. And guess what? It's getting less crowded because everybody's hurt in Green Bay. Matthew Golden is the truth. He's the only guy healthy enough to play.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
Netflix is back in a big way. They get Home Run Derby. What else is in store?
Yeah, Craig, we told you they had a great shot at it, and if they do. Now, the deal's not done yet because there's some last-minute things. However, if the deal is done, Netflix gets Home Run Derby, Peacock and NBC get Sunday Night Baseball, and they also get the Sunday afternoon package that Peacock originally had 3 years ago, and Roku's had the last 2 years.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Basically, their whole entire year is going to come down to the Ohio State game. I would be surprised if they were to lose any game leading up to that. So them to go undefeated is 12-1 in the regular season. That's a regular season play. So I think that's possible to go 12-0 at 12-1. To win the Big Ten championship, I think is a 9-1 play is a good number to take, because if they're in the game, we can hedge off of it.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Right back out of here on the early line. It's the SportsGrid Network and college football. Did you love week 0? Did you even love week 1 more? Week 2 is on deck. Now, do we have this sort of titanic battles that we saw in week number 1 for week number 2? No, we don't. But the surface is going to start to level right now. But we do have a new AP top 25 poll that has been released. Ohio State, the new number 1 team in the nation, followed by Penn State, LSU, Georgia. And look at that. The Miami Hurricanes, after knocking off the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, now appear at number 5. And also, Joe, as I teased before the break, the return of the state of Florida here. How about Miami at number 5? How about the Florida Gators at 13? How about the Florida State Seminoles at 14? Football is better when the big 3 in the state of Florida are kicking some butt.
Amen to that, Donnie. I mean, unranked to now the number 14 team in the country was Florida State. You knew whoever was going to win that game between Miami and Notre Dame, there was going to move up a couple of spots there at the very least. But LSU moving up 6 spots as well. Now the number 3 team in the country here. I think very interesting, because teams like Oregon and Georgia, well, they haven't really played anybody yet. Penn State's got 2 more cupcakes before it goes there. But it'll be interesting to see here what we get. But that top 10, it's kind of hard to argue with, Donnie. I think those are the 10 best teams in the country right now.
Let me ask you a question on this, too, because I look at Florida State at 14. Unheralded coming into the season. Yes, they had a great victory over Alabama. We'll see how good Alabama actually is. But when I look at Miami, the expectations were somewhat high, right? Okay, they'll be a good football team entering into 2025. Same thing we probably thought with the Florida Gators. But the Florida State Seminoles were a bit of a surprise in week number 1. Is that the real Florida State Seminoles, or is that just, hey, we caught a team that wasn't prepared in game number 1, we played a good game, and away we go? What's the sentiment on Florida State staying, Joe, for you in the top 25 this season?
Well, I mean, listen, it won't take long for us to figure it out here with Florida State. But I for the first time since that big run that they had that unfortunately ended with their quarterback getting hurt, but that was, to me, regardless of the players, we always knew they had athletes. Florida State, whether a good or bad, off a 2-win year, is going to have one of the best recruiting classes, is going to have football players. The big question I've always had with that program is the coaching really up to par? And I got to tell you, to have that many new faces coming off the kind of year they did, for that coaching staff with a new quarterback, new OC, and new everything, for them to have those kids ready like they did against an Alabama, I can't help but to think that maybe good days are ahead here for Florida State.
We'll see what happens. Or if there's good days ahead for Clemson and LSU. I always like the post-game pressers and how these coaches actually answer questions. We got some answers here. We need some, I guess, on what Dabo Swinney was talking about on them losing to LSU.
I mean, if we make the first tackle, I mean, Wade's got the guy. He's got, I mean, I don't even know how his knee didn't go down, but he, you know, without that run, I mean, like I said, the last 58 minutes is 2.8. And that is a physical group. It's a very smart quarterback. And that is a back. So they're going to be a problem. And they got some explosive dudes. And it was a hell of a game. It was a hell of a game. Down to the last play. Right out of the gate. It's like getting the final exam day 1 of class. They made a 65. We made a 58. Neither one of us were great.
The grading right there. Before we get a rebuttal from you, Joe Ranieri, let's check out also what we had to hear from Mr. Brian Kelly on that answer for what Dabo Swinney had.
We dominated him in the second half. So he's either a really good grader for, giving himself a 58, or he's a really hard grader on us, or he didn't see the second half, which that might be the case. He might not have wanted to see the second half.
But these two coaches are just some of the worst to listen to, by the way. Like, does anybody love Dabo? Does anybody love Brian Kelly? And these two guys dueling back and forth, Joe, come on.
Well, at least he doesn't have a Louisiana accent. I got to tell you this. That was maybe the best mic drop of the season so far there for Brian Kelly. Yeah, apparently he didn't watch it, or maybe he didn't want to watch the second half. Just drop the mic, Coach Kelly, and just walk off the stage, and that's it. That was enough said across the board there, because he's right. It wasn't even close in the second half. LSU was clearly the better team in the second half.
Yes, they were. Clemson had a touchdown lead at the break, didn't score in the second half. LSU did multiple times. They walk away with the victory. And finally, LSU gets that big win opening weekend to sort of catapult their season into the SEC. Let's get over to Major League Baseball and let you know exactly what happened last night on the diamond. We'll be right back with SportsGrid Network.
This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Matthew Golden, one of my favorite prospects coming out of Texas. He had an incredible game against Arizona last year in the college football playoffs. Just, big touchdown after big touchdown, big moment after big moment. I loved him all year, and I was a little, skeptical at first, like, okay, well, it's kind of a crowded wide receiver room. And guess what? It's getting less crowded because everybody's hurt in Green Bay. Matthew Golden is the truth. He's the only guy healthy enough to play.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
Netflix is back in a big way. They get Home Run Derby. What else is in store?
Yeah, Craig, we told you they had a great shot at it, and if they do. Now, the deal's not done yet because there's some last-minute things. However, if the deal is done, Netflix gets Home Run Derby, Peacock and NBC get Sunday Night Baseball, and they also get the Sunday afternoon package that Peacock originally had 3 years ago, and Roku's had the last 2 years.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Basically, their whole entire year is going to come down to the Ohio State game. I would be surprised if they were to lose any game leading up to that. So them to go undefeated is 12-1 in the regular season. That's a regular season play. So I think that's possible to go 12-0 at 12-1. To win the Big Ten championship, I think is a 9-1 play is a good number to take because if they're in the game, we can hedge off of it.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball last night. A lot of fantastic opportunities to make some money, but also more importantly, a lot of really odd situations happened last night, which we're going to get to. But if you are the San Diego Padres and you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers, like, hey, man, I'm happy the Dodgers lost. Let's pick up a victory. And then you go out and lose a game to the Baltimore Orioles 6-2 yesterday, which had Yu Darvish on the mound, 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. Not good enough out of your starter, not good enough out of your 1 through 9 starting lineup here. A 6-2 victory where Wells beats you here at home on the road. Can't have that for the Padres. They take a step back yesterday in a loss to the Orioles.
Yeah, no, can't. Back-to-back losses against the O's at home. Yeah, no, that's you can't have that. Good news for Baltimore, though, is that it was good to see Wells back and pitching pretty good. So, you got to win the games you're supposed to win, Padres. That's a 62-63 win Orioles team. You can't be losing back-to-back games, especially with one of your premier starters on the mound like you just did.
Absolutely. Now let's take a look at another game which had a lot of fun in it, at least for Yankees fans and backers here. 7-1 victory, the Yankees over the Astros. Framber Valdez was on the mound yesterday. 5 innings pitched, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. They gave up 2 home runs. Max Fried starting to get it together for the New York Yankees. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, 101 on the pitch count here, 101 pitches, and a 2.98 ERA. But the questions came up here after giving up a big home run. We're talking about Framber Valdez. He seemingly was asked to step off of the mound by his catcher before that home run was hit. Words probably weren't exchanged at that point, but the anger you can see on the face of Framber Valdez. 2 pitches into the Volpe at bat, you know that catcher called for a curveball or an off-speed pitch. You knew as a pitcher it was supposed to be that. fires a fastball, which catches the catcher off guard. Now, most people haven't played baseball. I don't understand. It was a fastball right down the middle. Why didn't he catch it? If you are expecting a breaking ball or an off-speed pitch and a fastball comes down the plate, you're not expecting that. Hits right off the chest protector. Valdez turns around and goes back to the mound as if nothing happened here. And I was like, ooh, is the catcher and the pitcher going to fight themselves, Joe?
Yeah, it was not good. It wasn't good from the start. It really wasn't here. But to your point, Fried, pretty good, really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, he had blanked them, had those guys kind of going crazy there. And once again, Houston, for some reason, having a very hard time hitting left-handed pitching, especially quality left-handed pitching here, which is something to keep in mind as they continue with games for the rest of the regular season here. But good stuff by the Yankees. Game 1 in the books. And again, if you keep hitting home runs, guys like Trent Grisham could get grand slams and put games out of reach. That's what it's all about if you're the Yankees.
By the way, I didn't see the actual highlight of the catcher and the pitcher there, Valdez, until I got alerted to it. And then I checked it out and said, this is hilarious to watch it because it was absolutely done on purpose.
Yep.
But I was trying to get a read, because you see this sometimes in baseball and you're not supposed to. Umpires making bad calls left and right. Oh, the catcher just supposedly missed the fastball and it catches the umpire on the leg or the upper chest protector, almost like a wake-up call. Nobody can prove what happened. Everybody acts stunned at that point. But it's like, hey, ump, you missed one more call. We're throwing fastballs at you. The fact that you threw a fastball at your catcher because you were angry, that is hilarious to me. It really is, because the catcher stood up and starts walking out to the mound like, are they going to go toe-to-toe right now in the middle of a Major League Baseball game? It didn't happen, but it's a circumstance that we don't see all that often. 12-3 victory yesterday for the Chicago White Sox, Joe, over the Minnesota Twins. I had the over in this game. Easily hits. But I got to tell you, I actually thought the Twins would carry the day over the White Sox, but the White Sox win it 12-3. Sometimes better lucky than good, but an easy over hit for me with the White Sox and the Twins. I'm telling you right now, those two teams, even the Twins only scored 3 last night. They got some batters, and they can run up against pitchers they can hit. They'll do damage.
They will. I mean, 12 hits, 12 runs, 13 hits. And again, provided a couple of errors by the Twins, gave them a couple of more opportunities, put some runs on the board in that game. But yeah, make no mistake about it. I mean, the White Sox more than capable of scoring off of teams like the Twins. They've been doing it all year long. And the Twins, well, yeah, there's not a lot left once you get past the starting pitchers there, Donnie. There's not a whole lot left there with the Twins bullpen to think, oh, yeah, we're going to be looking at unders from this point on. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Tee him up late in the game. 15 total runs scored. Love to see that here. Only 7 runs scored in Chicago last night, but another close victory for the Chicago Cubs as they knock off the Atlanta Braves 4-3. Pitching matchup with Shota Imanaga. He had a quality start. 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. Going up against Joey Wentz. Not so good. 4 innings pitched and 4 earned runs. Another victory for the Cubs. They're 80th on the season.
Yeah, and finally, Kyle Tucker. When's the last time we talked about that name, right? With a big 3-run home run in there. He has been on the struggle bus for a couple of months now there. And then I believe he left the game in the 7th because he had some sort of calf injury. So, yeah, again, just when you think you turn the corner, oops, sorry, pulled my calf. Now he's probably not going to be available anytime soon for the Cubs.
Nolan McLean, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, in a Major League Baseball ERA of a 1.37. The New York Mets also pick up a victory yesterday against the Tigers, who also have 80 wins, as we just talked about the Chicago Cubs. But the Mets pick up their 75th win in a 12-5 victory, which saw a lot more home runs, a lot more offense, and the Mets knocking off a quality opponent on the road once again in the Tigers.
Got to love it. Yes, I love this kid, former Oklahoma State pitcher. But the Mets finally smartened up and got enough injuries where they actually decided to bring him up. Go think of that there, where, why not? We'll give the 24-year-old right-hander, we'll give him an opportunity. And what does he do? In hostile territory, goes in against a pretty good Detroit team, right, who has more wins than the Mets does. And he ends up shutting them down. Exactly what you want to see. But could this be the point where the Mets bats finally get it going here? Soto good to go. Alonso good to go. So maybe the Mets have turned a corner here.
The Los Angeles Dodgers wanting to turn that corner. They're trying to get to 80 wins. They're stuck on 78. They take another loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who were 62 and 77 on the season. Not a great start out of Clayton Kershaw, but it wasn't really the starter that gave you the problem. It was the bullpen. You go down 4-0 in the first inning. Kershaw battles back over the next couple innings to try to keep you in it. And actually, as the Dodgers tied up at 4-4, but you gave away with 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning, 1 in the 7th, and 1 in the 8th for a 9-7 loss here. That bullpen for the Dodgers here could be a problem down the stretch, Joe.
Yeah, it could be a big problem there. I mean, the fact that you could, right off the bat, before you blink, the Dodgers are down 4-0. And then all of a sudden they chip away, and they finally tie it up by the middle innings. And then the bullpen comes in, and guess what? That was the end of that. Continues to be a bugaboo, and the reason that I'm just not buying the Dodgers running through everyone and repeating.
How about the Toronto Blue Jays playing 12 runs against the Reds, beating them 12-9? Here's the interesting part. We talked about yesterday. Whoa, Nick Lodolo's on the mound. You can't hit him. He gets scratched. It turns into a bullpen game. And, Joe, I know you talked about the Cincinnati Reds in that bullpen here. Whoa, 12 runs against that pen. Barlow's like, all right, I'll take the start here. Let me go 1 inning and give up 4 runs, and away the Blue Jays went. They were firing on all cylinders at the plate. And by the way, they scored 12 runs yesterday. They only left 4 runners on base. Efficiency getting those numbers.
Yeah, and Springer with a couple of bombs. Bichette is crushing the ball. And, finally, I think Hoffman came in for the Blue Jays, only gave up 1 hit in the 9th inning, did notch his 30th save. But keep this in mind, the Blue Jays have 23 blown saves this season, including the game on Monday, in which they should have won as well, but didn't. So that still, to me, is a big red flag with this Toronto team.
Yeah, a couple of those races, too. Toronto finally won that game. Love to see it here. They're 2.5 games up on the Yankees, 2.5 games up on the Boston Red Sox. It's going to be a great September watching them. We did talk about the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. 2 straight losses for the Brewers, 2 straight victories for the Cubs. We're now down to a 5-game lead there in the Central. And with the victory yesterday in the NL East for the New York Mets, they're back within 5.5 games of the Phillies, who were dormant yesterday, and will get back into play today. So a lot of baseball over the final 3.5 weeks of the season that you need to keep an eye on. But you know where our eyes are focused now? On Philadelphia. Not on the Phillies. It's the Eagles and the Cowboys next.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
I don't like it. Does he think he's playing on the opening kickoff? Does he want to get a handoff at that point?
I mean, he's involved in the program. Here's the problem with James Franklin.
Why do coaches even run out with the football team? Like, Andy Reid doesn't run out with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but it's the NFL. This is college kids.
They're college basketball. Do those
they're
guys
like a
run out
father figure. Well, they used to be like a father figuring. Now the kids are making more than the coach.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more, because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At the moment, you will not be able to do a bet on the television set. However, Emily made it very clear that's what we ultimately want to do, and we may do it sooner than later, where you will be able to put a sports bet on the service through your smart TV set with your remote control or with your voice, especially if a service like Alexa Plus, which is scheduled to go on Amazon Fire TV sets and other smart TV sets, actually happens.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
One more sleep till the NFL kicks off in Philadelphia. The world champion Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. And by the way, that spread getting a little bit outrageous now at 8.5. We'll get to that in just a few moments. But at the start of an NFL season, a lot of bettors out there like, you know what? Let me just take the better team out there. Moneyline parlays here. Take them straight up. It doesn't matter. Did you know last year, Joe, 195-77 was the record for the favorites straight up last year against their counterparts, the underdogs. The favorites had their way last year. Now in betting and also in the history of sports, things usually get back to their level. Is this going to be the return of a lot more upsets, or are the favorites continue to beat down the underdogs here in 2025?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was one of the most profitable public betting seasons in the NFL in a long time. And those happen, but you know what else happens, Donnie, is they very rarely have back-to-back winning seasons where the public cashes out. But it'll, you know, September football is a little bit different than October, November, December NFL football. So let's see what we get early on. There's a lot of different trends that tell us in September, whatever we see in September, you don't spend a lot of time on it because that has nothing to do. These football teams will not be the same come October and November, but remains to be seen if the public is going to be cashing as many tickets as they did last year.
How about two public quarterbacks going to tee it up tomorrow night? Dak Prescott on America's team here. All those commercials. Now there's Jalen Hurts, the new big dog on the block. 2 Super Bowls in the last couple years, winning a Super Bowl MVP. He wants his respect. And he can certainly claim that once again on Thursday night. If you're looking at some of those prop bets here for Jalen Hurts, his passing yardage number, 212.5. Dak Prescott, 248.5. If we're taking a look at throwing touchdown passes, over 1.5, plus money on both guys in this game. Dak Prescott, plus 112. Jalen Hurts, plus 120. Who's the better quarterback tomorrow night? Not saying who's going to win the game, but who's going to perform better here to try to take down some of those props, in your opinion, Joe?
Well, I mean, listen, we told you that we're not expecting to sweat out an under in this game. We have seen the line move not only towards the Eagles after the Micah Parsons trade, but we've also seen the total start creeping up too to what, about 47.5, somewhere in that ballpark there. And listen, Dak, for all his faults, has done very well and has been an ATS machine when it comes to the NFC East. He has covered a ton of games. He wins these games. He stays within there. He's very good against his divisional opponents. It's later in the season that we tend to get issues with him. So I still say, I mean, at this point, Donnie, we're getting to the point where now it's 8.5. You know, at some point, I still think the total is the way to go. But at some point, if this thing creeps up even more so, aren't we forced to have to take Dallas here at this point, getting that many points, even if you're an Eagles backer here?
Yeah, it's up there pretty good. And it's week number 1. It's the most squirrely week of the season. And then your mind plays tricks when you're heading into week number 2 because that team stunk last week. Wait, they're good now? Or that team was awesome last week. Now they're really not good this week. You're going to get those back and forths here, those mind games that you'll play. But if we do take a look at the quarterbacks here and what the expectations are, sure, they can both throw 2 touchdown passes. But as I look right now just on FanDuel, Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown market at a 165. You know, sometimes organizations, players, and teams could be vindictive. Oh, you wanted to get rid of the tush push this year? Watch this. Yeah. We'll run it 3 times inside the 3 and cruise into the end zone. So let me just ask you this question. New year, new money, as we like to say. Is it going to be the same old Philadelphia Eagles where Saquon Barkley does not get the football at the 1-yard line? Because the tush push is one of the best plays in football, short yardage conversion. And Jalen Hurts, if he gets on the goal line in the national stage, game number 1, you know he's ramming one in there, Joe, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about that. If it ain't broke, right, they are not going to fix it here. Now, they do have a new OC, right? So Kellen Moore is gone, right, because he's in New Orleans. But I do believe, Donnie, they promoted Philadelphia from within, and I think it was the assistant to Moore there that ends up taking it off Petula, right? So they're not going to, I don't know how much they're going to be playing. How much is he going to be playing around with what was already established? So I don't think we have to worry about them going off script because it's a new OC. I think if they're within the 2-yard line, you know exactly what you're getting there with Philadelphia.
Landon Dickerson also a full practice yesterday. So the big boys up the middle are ready to eat, apparently, on Thursday night. But if we do take a look at the standings here, or at least the odds market to win the NFC East, it's going through a lot of changes. And it will change right up till game time tomorrow before you get those final looks. You see the graphic up there, minus 145. Some outlets now posting a minus 150 price. The Dallas Cowboys here in third place with a 7-1 number. In second place, the Commanders there at a plus 220 price. And the Giants at 16-1. So in a division that's not used to the same team winning division back-to-back, the Eagles are the heavy favorites to do just that, Joe.
They are. But again, we're getting to the point now where it's, very key numbers here, right? We thought 7 is where it would stay. It was 6.5. Then the trade happened. And now it's like, oh, boy, here we go. I mean, Dallas is not inept offensively in any way, shape, or form. They are loaded. You got Pickens, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got Ferguson. This is not a team that is going to be hard in shootouts to be able to put points up there. It'll be interesting to see where this defense of Philadelphia is in game 1, but I'm still thinking we're getting a ton of points in this game. I think both offenses will outduel the defenses in this game.
Yeah, we'll find out, and obviously sooner than later, because this game's going to kick off tomorrow night. But the weather looks decent, and also from that defensive vantage point, Micah Parsons is a game wrecker. He's not there. You take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles, still struggling right now through training camp. Who's that third cornerback going to be? You're pretty set with the young kids on the outside in the slot, but there's one cornerback spot that's left to be desired. That defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles did lose some key pieces in the offseason. Vic Fangio is still there, but as we know, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, that should be good enough to get some offense there with Dak Prescott against the Philadelphia Eagles, even if it's in the second half to sort of mount that charge. The one thing we know about the Eagles, that offense is intact. That offense should kick butt against anybody. So if you're looking for the Philadelphia Eagles to be in the high 20s here, that's probably going to carry the day and get you as close as possible to that mid-40s, high 40s number to hit the total in the game. Should be fun to watch and also should be fun to handicap. Much more of that coming up here on the early line. We get to Michigan, Oklahoma in college football.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
I don't like it. Does he think he's playing on the opening kickoff? Does he want to get a handoff at that point?
I mean, he's involved in the program. Here's the problem with James Franklin.
Why do coaches even run out with the football team? Like, Andy Reid doesn't run out with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but it's the NFL. This is college
what about
kids.
High school, college basketball? Do those
they're
guys
like a
run out
father figure. Well, they used to be like a father figuring. Now the kids are making more than the coach.
Sports College Football Today.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more, because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
At the moment, you will not be able to do a bet on the television set. However, Emily made it very clear that's what we ultimately want to do, and we may do it sooner than later, where you will be able to put a sports bet on the service through your smart TV set with your remote control or with your voice, especially if a service like Alexa Plus, which is scheduled to go on Amazon Fire TV sets and other smart TV sets, actually happens.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, let's get after it here. College football. Look, we are excited for tomorrow night's action in the NFL. It's kickoff, the pageantry, the pomp, the circumstance, the banner getting raised there in Philadelphia, and then we kick off the 2025 season. But in college football, Joe, we've already been through 3 weeks, even though this is only technically week number 2, because you have a week number 0 in college football. Make it make sense. It doesn't. It's just the way it is. But we're going to find out here. Michigan and Oklahoma should be a pretty good battle. And if we look at some of the history here with Oklahoma versus Michigan since 2007, which is give or take roughly 20 years, conference championships for Oklahoma 10, Michigan has 3. Playoff appearances, Oklahoma 4, Michigan has 3. Wins, Oklahoma 172, Michigan 144, and wins against ranked opponents, Oklahoma 46 and Michigan at 27. Now, as I look at this, you see the graphic up there? What's the asterisk for? Is that just like they don't like Michigan? They're poking fun at them cheating and maybe taking away some of those? Like, what would the asterisk be up there for those?
It's a great question. Why even have them at this point? Because it's not like you can't, like the whole, we're going to take away wins. No, you're not. Yeah. Those games were played. They were won. They were lost. You're not taking away wins. Yeah. So, hold on to your asterisks, folks, because nobody really cares one way or the other at this point.
How about the favorites here for Oklahoma, though? Opened up at 2.5 at FanDuel. Now FanDuel has 5.5. Looks like DraftKings 4.5. BetMGM 5.5. Bet365 5. Westgate 5.5. So with the decided favorite for Oklahoma, is this just one of those cases where, okay, both of these teams played. Now we'll find out what they're about. It's a top 20 battle, but Michigan's got a rookie, basically freshman quarterback who's going to go on the road for the first time in a hostile environment. Is that the way we're looking at it? And also the total. Very low to me at 45.5, but that's indicative of what we saw week number 1 with some of the big teams in the big games. Not a lot of scoring, but that was, Joe, because most of the time those teams were coming into a top 20 battle versus each other. And that's not the case. You had 2 teams play last week, 2 teams going to play this week, but a game already under their belt. Do we see more points?
Yeah, and well, you know what else? He is, that freshman quarterback there, Bryce Underwood from Michigan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's also a millionaire now. Welcome to the NIL era, which, like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a heck of a lot of money in there. Boy, I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football, because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced over there against Utah this week. I'm just saying, keep that in mind. In the meantime, Brent Venables and OU clearly on the hot seat. Norman, Oklahoma, you want to talk about, you think there's a problem in Tuscaloosa with the fan base. You ought to see what's going on in Norman right now. So Brent Venables, the issue for him has always been that offense. He has not been able to figure out the offense. He's as good a defensive coordinator as you will find. The defense in Norman, they are going to be legit here. So John Mateer is offensive coordinator, former Washington State player and OC there, are now at the helm here. They are going to be much better than what they were a year ago. This kid Mateer is the real deal. A lot of guys think he's a dark horse for the Heisman. I mean, he is absolutely capable. Yeah. Nothing that I saw from Michigan led me to believe that they are going to take a freshman millionaire quarterback into Norman and just run up and down the field on him there. So don't forget, Donnie, 4.5, 5.5. What is the books don't see it? It's no man's land for the books. It's not a key number one way or the other. So if you like OU, lay the number, which is exactly what I did.
And again, it's such a slippery slope in college football, as Joe's talking about. Like, you can be on the top of that crest for so long. Give it 2 or 3 bad years. You make one bad hire coach. Recruits aren't there, and you slip right off the cliff. We've seen it so many times happen to the bigger programs. I mean, heck, look at Nebraska. Yeah, they sell every single year. Yep. But throughout my childhood in the 80s and 90s, every single year they were in the top 5. Dr. Tom Osborne retires. They never got it back at this point. Yep. And it's been 20 years plus. If you're Oklahoma, now you're in the SEC, you don't get the cut. Joe, you don't get the cupcakes every third game. Like, hey, our only big game is Colorado. We'll win 9 games every year. They didn't sign up to go to the SEC and go 500 football. So watch out for Oklahoma. They need this big win to stay on that platform here to keep recruiting, and certainly the sanity here for their head coaching staff as well. But in the next hour, Joe, we're going to get the people caught up on all the hot topics once again. But I'm excited. Like, we didn't have that, as we talked about, that week 1 with 4 or 5 bell cow games. This looks like it's going to be the game of the week. It's a 7:30 game on ABC at night, Eastern time, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what Michigan has here in Oklahoma. I want to see if Oklahoma can be for real with another big victory at home. Time will tell, but you know what else the time is for? Hour number 2 coming up next, right here on the Early Line.